I'm going to show you my process for creating cinematic music with a sense of depth, story, journey. And I'll show you 6 key strategies for cinematic musical storytelling. I've been producing cinematic music for songwriters for years now, and this is actually the first time I've broken one down. So I'll play you the full song. Listen for the depth, the overall arc of the song, the sonic colors we use, and I'll put the time code on screen too in case you want to skip ahead.
Because I know today has been the most perfect day I've ever
So hopefully you could hear the sense of depth that we added, the sense of emotional journey, the sense of storytelling through orchestral colors. So here are 6 things that I think about when creating cinematic songs. First, you need a strong foundation. If you want to create a cinematic song, it's so important to start with something that has a clear dramatic arc and cinematic potential. It's also really about structure, about the journey of the song, and that has to come from the song itself. And it's creating this journey of a character going on some emotional experience and finding resolution by the end. In most cases, there's already a sense of story or journey in the song. And in this case, there's this sort of soft introduction section.
When I'm
And then this reaches this build-up section where it becomes a lot more of an emotional journey, a kind of odyssey. That was built into the structure of the song. But what I love about it is that it reaches this kind of blissful resolution.
No matter what happens now, you shouldn't be afraid.
And so there is this sense of a main character going through this emotional journey and achieving some kind of resolution. So there's already this dramatic arc built into the song. And that structure is always really important to me in a cinematic song. So the second thing to think about is identifying and showcasing the lead instruments or the main anchors of the song. Every song that I've worked on has some kind of anchor. Maybe it's the singer's voice, maybe it's some cool chord progression, or maybe it's a broader thematic anchor like Christmassy. But there's an anchor which everything else can harness itself to. So in this case, the obvious anchor was the sound of these ancient viols, these viola da gambas. I'd heard Lucine play her viol and sing years ago, and I was really moved by it, and I knew I wanted to work with her back then, and I told her I wanted to make something cinematic and deep with that sound of her viol and her voice. She created this Radiohead cover just for 2 viols with her friend Nat. They're called the Intesa Duo. So I felt that it was my job to use the orchestra to enhance the depth and enhance the sense of journey and storytelling. And so when I was making the arrangement, I had to let these viola da gambas shine. These viola da gambas actually dictated the whole sonic color of the piece. They had to be the anchor of the song because they have this rich, ancient characteristic. They're literally the grandfathers of the cello. I felt like there was this connection of modern music with ancient music, and the orchestra was sort of bridging that gap in some way, helping to connect us with this kind of past life.
In red, blue, green, in red, blue, green.
Third thing I think about is finding the main color of the song, painting that picture or scene, finding what the heart of the song is. I actually approach the process of making a cinematic song as if painting an actual scene with colors. So if you listen to this first verse, I'm using violin harmonics and violin sol tasto, which is super soft playing on the fingerboard. But the image in my mind was creating this sort of misty halo that surrounds the rich viola da gambas. So the halos on their own sound like this. And it just creates this halo around the rich sound of the viola da gambas. I love using these cinematic booms just to create a sense of gravitas. It adds this depth. It's like the sort of bottom of the floor opens up if you listen to this boom on its own. And with everything, you can really feel that sense of space opening up when you hear that low boom.
My videotape, my videotape.
So I realized as I'm creating the sound of the song that I'm thinking about the music in a filmic way. It's creating a scene. I'm not thinking of it theoretically, which notes should I use? I'm thinking of it in terms of painting the sonic picture, painting the landscape. And here's a little bonus tip for smoothing transitions between sections. One of the things I often find tricky with orchestral arrangements is transitioning between the sections of a song. I find that often just adding in a gentle whoosh of a cymbal or a tam-tam really helps to smooth things over. So I love this tam-tam gong sound because it just felt perfect for the color of this song. And the thing is, it's super subtle, but it just helps to tie over the next section. You barely notice it's there, but you definitely notice when it's not there. And that low, rich depth really helped to complement the color of the song for me. The fourth thing is, once I've found that color, then it's using the orchestra in different ways to enhance the story. So when she's singing about Mephistopheles reaching out to grab her, there's just this little color which I added, which is the cellos playing on the bridge to make kind of an ugly sound. Again, it's super subtle, but it's just adding little colors of storytelling to the music.
Mephistopheles is just beneath.
there's this horn motif that keeps coming back throughout the song. This is a meaningful motif for me. I didn't realize at the time, but I think subconsciously I was thinking about Mahler's Ninth Symphony, which has this wah wah motif throughout the first movement. I didn't mean it to be that way, but it just happened. Because this Radiohead song, I felt, was about death and memory, being remembered or savoring those rare moments of bliss in life. And Mahler's Ninth is also considered about death. It's Mahler's swan song, but also I just felt this horn theme adds this sense of serenity and peaceful sadness to the music. And this horn motif keeps returning almost as a sort of spectre. So the next time it comes, it's different notes and it's raised up, so there's a little more tension or a little more yearning.
Grab me.
And you can hear how there's this melody in the violins as well. I just loved having this idea of this halo dancing above those ancient viols. So again, I'm using the orchestra as a tool to add story and depth, to sort of paint this picture almost filmically, but it is super subtle. I don't want to overdo it. That being said, I couldn't resist adding the Celeste at that moment where she says, "You are my center when I'm spinning away." I just wanted this gentle Celeste in the background spinning off.
You are my center when I spin away, out of control.
All through this, I'm thinking about sound painting. A fifth key thing for me in every cinematic song I do is creating contrast and building tension. So at this moment, we get an instrumental section, and the viols are doing something really cool, so I just let them do their thing for a moment. But instead of just leaving it with two viols for the entire instrumental, I knew I wanted to add in instruments section by section until it was this big emotional climax, crying out from the deep. And then there's this amazing last verse where she's crying out. The violins are still climbing up and reaching out as if they're trying to climb out and escape from a pit. And here it is in context.
I can't do this face to face.
The violins seem to continue rising and the cello's rising beneath it with a different melody, and they're all working together in harmony. We're building up and up towards this climax. And the sixth thing is ending with a sense of meaningful resolution. And this can come about in a lot of different ways. A meaning resolution could be a big triumphant climax. In this case, it's capturing this sense of bliss and thankfulness for life. At least that's my interpretation. And so originally in Lucine's arrangement, they carried on playing the viols at this moment. Of course, because they didn't have an orchestra behind them. But the lyrics made me want to strip everything back and have it all be just absolutely serene. Like there'd been a sort of fear of mortality, and then finally there's a sense of peace, a sense of bliss. It's just such a human moment that I wanted everything to be serene. So there's just these harmonic tremolos and these harp plucks that I hope create this sense of almost angelic peace.
No matter what happens now, you shouldn't be afraid, because I know today has been the most perfect day.
And then finally, the brass and the viols carry her off in a sort of mellow register. And I got one more low boom as well, just to sustain that sense of weight and gravity. So it's painting the picture with cinematic sounds to add a sense of musical story and journey and depth.
I miss you.
So it's only in describing my process that I realize how pictorial it is. It's not about theory and it's not about knowing what notes to put in. It's really based on feel. It's about painting this picture, treating this song almost like it is a movie or like a cinematic experience where you can see the story in your head and the music helps to paint this picture really clearly for the audience. So it's about finding those colors. It's about using the orchestra as a tool to create those storytelling moments. But it's also really about structure, about the journey of the song. And that has to come from the song itself. And it's creating this journey of a character going on some emotional experience and finding resolution by the end. That's so critical for my process, at least.